Chiara. My name is Francesca, and I live in Turin. In my class, there is a girl who doesn't believe in Jesus. We try to tell her that God is real, but she doesn't want to believe. How can we help her to believe?
I think you have to keep on loving her. Keep on loving her all the time, even if she gets angry, even if she answers you back. Love her all the time. And then show her the unity that there is among you. If she sees unity, she'll understand that God exists, because in unity we have Jesus among us, even though we can't see him, just as we can't see the air we breathe. Even though we can't see him, Jesus is with us, and he will speak to her heart. Take her to a Gen 4 meeting if you can, and there she can breathe in the atmosphere of Jesus among you, and she'll feel this inside. And keep on loving her. Love her always, and she will believe one day. I've seen it happen all over the world.
What do we have to do to have Jesus in the midst?
We have to love one another. It's not enough for me to love the other person. The other person has to love me too. It has to be a mutual love. That means there has to be two of us loving one another, not just one. And this love is very practical. It's not just saying, I love you, without doing anything to help. No, if someone needs help, you have to help, like we did with that old lady. If someone is crying, you have to help and listen and share their suffering. If a little boy is happy because it's his birthday, we should be happy too and celebrate. We must love one another. Here are some examples of loving. The first one is a little boy who's very young, and he's loving a little girl, the one with the doll in her hands. He gives her a little gift because he loves her. That's a real love. It's not just loving with words. He gives her something. The second one is lovely. It's really lovely. There's a little boy who's a little bit older, the one with the red cap, and he can see a very small child crying. Maybe he's a Gen 5. So he takes his handkerchief and he dries the child's tears because he really loves him in a concrete way by doing something to help, not just with words. Then there's a grandfather who's reading, and a little girl comes, probably a Gen 4, and gives him some tea. Can you see the grandfather's eyes? He's surprised that the little girl is so good. He doesn't know it, but she's a Gen 4. Then there's a little girl, the one with plaits, who's reading something to a Gen 5 because the Gen 5 can't read yet, but she can. She's doing something to show her love. She doesn't just say, I love you. She does something to make the Gen 5 happy.
My name is Sylvia. When Jesus is with us, we can't see him. So how do we know he's there? This is Lisa's question, but she couldn't come today.
Yes, this is a lovely question. How do we know he's there, even if we don't see him? Well, we feel it. We can feel it when there's love among us. When we made that pact, that promise with Chiara to be ready to give our lives for one another, we felt him present. He was among us. We had so much peace and joy in our hearts. Because Jesus said that where two or more are united in his name, which means in his love, he is among us. You can understand this better when sometimes you notice he's missing, maybe because we've forgotten to love.
Sometimes I get cross and I fight with my friends. Afterwards, I start trying to love again. But I'm not very good at saying sorry. I can only say it after a few days. What should I do? How did you do it?
Well, this Jen is saying that they get angry very easily and they sometimes start fighting with their friends. Then afterwards they're sorry and they start to love again, but they find it really difficult to say sorry straight away. It's difficult. You can only do it after a few days. What can I do? How did you do it? Well, this is what Chiara says. If you already say sorry, Jesus blesses you and hopes you do it faster and faster. Then Chiara says, the first few times I lived the ideal, I felt really bad without unity. And so here you are asking, how did you do it? And Chiara says, the first few times I lived the ideal, I felt bad without unity. I couldn't wait to build unity up again. Well, here's something about Chiara that she asked me to tell you. One day, Chiara went to the attic. We were in Piazza Cappuccini, and she went to get some wood. She felt really sad in her heart, because amongst us in the Focolare there hadn't been full unity, and it was as if the sun of the ideal wasn't shining as brightly as before. Chiara was crying, and a few tears fell onto the wood. She couldn't wait for us to come back from work so that we could build unity again. She was really suffering. When we got back, Chiara told us about her suffering. And so we apologised. We said we were sorry, that we hadn't been in unity, and that we hadn't gone to work with unity. And so we started again straight away. We started again, and we started to love again straight away. And it was as if the sun and the joy and the peace came back out and shone more brightly than before.
If we are united, Jesus is among us, and this is what is valuable. It is worth more than any other treasure that our heart may possess, more than mother, father, brothers, sisters, children. It is worth more than our house, our work, or our property, more than the works of art in a great city like Rome, more than our business deals, more than nature, which surrounds us with fields and flowers, more than the sea and the stars, more than our own soul. He is the one who, inspiring his saints with his eternal truths, leaves his mark upon every age. This, too, is his hour. Not so much the hour of a saint, but of him among us, of him living in us as we build up in the unity of love, his mystical body. But we have to expand the presence of Christ, make him grow in other members, become like him, bearers of fire, make one of all and in all the one. It is then that we live the life that he gives us moment by moment in charity. The basic commandment is brotherly love. Everything is of value if it expresses sincere fraternal charity. Nothing we do is of value if there is not the feeling of love for our brothers and sisters in it. For God is a father, and in his heart he has always and only his children. Jesus in the midst also enlightens our individual consciences so that we can understand how to act in various circumstances. Jesus in the midst is like a loudspeaker of God's will, of God's voice within us. When we have no idea of what to do, to whom do we turn but to him, telling one another, let's put Jesus in the midst so that we can understand the will of God. He alone is the light in our lives, the solution to all our problems. Origen already knew this because he wrote, "If we fail to resolve and explain any problem, let's approach Jesus, being in total agreement about our request, for he is present where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, and since he is present with his power and strength, he is also willing to enlighten our hearts, so that with our souls we can penetrate into the heart of the issue." Jesus in the midst gives peace. The profound supernatural peace experienced when we put into practice the command of mutual love is another sign of the presence of God, of the risen Lord among us, which we often only notice when it's missing. Jesus in the midst brings peace. He gives you joy. You have the light. He especially brings peace. But peace is like health in our body. Peace is the health of the soul. You don't feel health. You feel pain. You don't feel peace. You feel when there is no peace. So when you are in the focolare, or in your nucleus, or together with someone else, or walking along the street, or at work, or in the middle of your apostolate, and you feel that there is peace, rest assured. If there is peace, there is Jesus, because he is peace. So there is no need for any particular feelings. Another effect of the presence of the risen Christ is joy, supernatural joy, not the joy of this world. Sometimes it is explosive, sometimes it is interior and quiet. It is a deep joy to be shared with others. Unity is Jesus among us. One of the fathers of the Church said that unity is an agreement of thoughts and feelings among several people, which brings about harmony, which unites and contains the Son of God. We can confirm that this presence is the source of profound happiness. Jesus among us is the fullness of joy. He makes of our life, and for all of those who live unity, a continuous celebration. Why is this? Another father of the Church explains it when he speaks about Pentecost, after which the apostles were filled to overflowing with grace, light, and joy, so much so that they seemed to be drunk. He wrote, "Although Pentecost is over, the celebration isn't over. Every meeting is a celebration." Where does that come from? From the very words of Christ who said, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them." Therefore, he continues, every time Christ is present in the midst of a meeting, what greater proof do you want that it is a celebration? This is the true celebration that human hearts seek. And we are called to bring about this celebration into the midst of the world, to make the world thrill with true joy and abundance. We can do it in our small or larger communities, in our conferences, in our centers, and in our little cities. We have the duty to do it and teach others to do it, because living as church means to act in such a way that Jesus and his joy are always among us. In fact, living with Jesus in the midst is not a practice that only members of the movement are called to do. Living with Jesus in the midst vitally inserts us into the presence of Jesus in his church. In fact, to explain the presence of God in the church, the fathers refer mainly to 2 passages. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there among them. And, remember, I am with you always to the end of the age.